Tonight, more than half a dozen employees at Palm Springs City Hall are in quarantine after someone there tested positive for coronavirus. I spoke with City Manager David Reddy to find out how this will impact the public and if he's concerned there could soon be another shutdown. David, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
So what can you tell us about this employee who tested positive for coronavirus?
So obviously it was an employee within City Hall. Now, City Hall has been closed to the public since late March. We've been doing work online, over the phone, things of that nature. So there was no exposure to the public. But what we've done is obviously this person is home recuperating, and the people that were involved potentially that may have been in that proximity exposure have been home as well, quarantined, and they're speaking with their medical providers.
What has been the impact on City Hall?
Well, what we realize is that ultimately, eventually, this is going to happen. Our initial concern, obviously, were for people out in the field, police and fire, and obviously we've gone through that with both police and fire in quarantine and things of that nature, and so we have plans for that. This obviously is newer with someone inside of City Hall, and obviously we have plans to work around the workload, if you will. So we're still interacting with the public through electronically, and we're just trying to keep everyone safe. And it just goes to show you the importance of social distancing and wearing face coverings all the time, everywhere. It's important for all of us to keep all of us safe.
So how many other employees were then forced to go into quarantine because of this one employee testing positive?
Approximately 7.
7. And they'll be in quarantine for 2 weeks?
So how this will be is they'll speak with their medical provider. It may be that long, or they may be released to come back sooner, but it won't be until their doctor releases them to come back.
So without 7 employees there, I know you're there obviously, is it a lot more quiet than normal?
Well, as you appreciate, COVID has created anything but quiet. So, City Hall, we still have a full workload, but keep in mind, we're working with almost 100 less employees than we were, 3 months ago, because, we've cut about $50 million out of our budget because of the COVID issue. So we're making adjustments across the board.
Is it hard to continue business as normal when 7 people aren't there, or are you having to make adjustments?
It certainly is an adjustment, but keep in mind, these people are not ill at this point, and they are working from home to the extent that they can. So we're trying to be very flexible with working from home, working in City Hall, so we can keep the workflow moving.
So bottom line, this is not impacting any city services for people who are trying to get business done through City Hall?
Not at this point.
Overall, though, it's just such an unprecedented time. You mentioned that there were a lot of changes made. Is this just another example of some of the headaches that the city is having to deal with right now?
Extremely. If you go from, the extreme of reducing your budget by 50 million, almost 80 to 90 people less in the workforce, so, that creates its own issues. But more importantly, it's also a social change, getting everyone to wear face coverings and social distance. And, we're partnering with our business community and our neighborhood organizations. And it's a effort by everyone together, because, as you know, city government cannot do this by itself. It's going to take everyone working together to get us through this.
And with so many changes happening so quickly, what is the mood like right now at City Hall and in the city in general?
So we're emerging from the shutdown, if you will, the emergency stay at home. We're all concerned about the increased cases. It just refocuses on education of face coverings. I think that is the single most important thing we all can do, and social distancing, and that message just has to be reinforced over and over. And the important thing is we certainly don't want to go backwards and re-shut down. And that's what we need to focus on and keep moving forward.
And we just heard from the governor today giving an update on the rise in the case numbers and the positivity rate. Are you concerned with so many people now coming back to Palm Springs? The hotels are now reopened. We're seeing a lot more people going to businesses. And hopefully wearing face coverings, not always the case though. Are you concerned about what you're seeing?
So we're a tourism city, a tourism economy. So our goal is keeping visitors safe, keeping our residents safe. So that's why Palm Springs has put in more strict regulations than potentially other cities, because we want to make sure everyone is safe. So face coverings are required, they're mandatory. Social distancing is required. So we have enforcement that does both education and we're asking people to comply. When we see hotspots, we will intervene in those areas. And if we have to, we will revoke a business license if they willfully refuse to follow those rules. But that's not been the case. Our merchants have been very cooperative. They're partners for the most part. All of our visitors have been, and I think it's just reinforcing that message day in and day out.
Are you concerned, David, if the trends continue, we could go back to another forced shutdown?
Well, you have to appreciate, as a city manager, I'm concerned about everything. So that's what we do. So we plan. How do we avoid that? That's what the strategy is. We're concerned about it. We see the numbers going in the wrong direction. So for us, it's an issue of what is our strategy? Stepping up enforcement, stepping up education, trying to flatten that curve before it gets out of hand again. So that's what we're focused on here at the city.
All right, David, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Take care. Thank you.